currently facing a similar position to that, because I think the most frightening person in NA to find yourself in a limbs is against megD most of the time, because you are trying to keep your mental together, you're trying to keep your endurance up, and megD just drains it out of you with that immaculate defense.
Yeah, I mean, definitely one to kind of figure out your habits, right? Wants to slow the game down so that way it can pick apart your game plan and then kind of inject his own in place.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying before with the sword. Like, simplicity is key. You don't need to do anything crazy. But so far with the guitars, going for quite a few side lights, just trying to keep things simple, get your damage in. But you have to be so careful in front of Impala with the bow, especially, because the bow is a big reason why that title is attached to him. It's also a big reason why he almost got that set against Sandstorm earlier as well.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be really interesting in this matchup in particular, is Kaya has a lot of that range that doesn't let megD set up for the kind of, you know, figuring out your game plan that he wants to do, right? That bow downlight can engage from so far away, especially against a weapon that's as short range as guitars.
Yeah, and also one of the things that's fearful about guitars is when they start jumping right over that D-light and you second guess it, then you start getting nared. But if you play around that like megD can, you're in a prime position to just, again, whittle away that confidence somebody has. I like the spear switch up momentarily, but still, Impala hasn't really won a lot of these neutral exchanges so far.
Yeah, megD with a hefty damage lead. Impala working to make up that difference before getting knocked down. And, you know, Kaya actually has a decent amount of defense to be able to play through.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the things that will help you long-term, too, because megD's not that explosive player, but because of how good they are simplicity-wise, they will pretty much be hunting for D-Light Sarah, D-Light Recovery as you get around these ranges. Because of that inherent defense from Kaya, you get to live a little bit longer past any surprise plays megD might go for.
Ooh, going for the side light into that dash jump down air read. That's one of the hallmarks that gets Impala so much purchase, leads to so much damage when people are trying to dodge up from the downlight they're expecting after every side light.
I smell D6 soon. I feel like Impala is been hovering around the right range to try and bait megD to get comfortable and then just go for it. Weapon toss away, though. Actually, I thought that might actually be the moment for it, but instead it looks like we're going to be hunting towards the bow, not really feeling too comfortable with it, and that D-Light Zera is going to go ahead and get the first stock.
All right, first stock in, but Impala was able to even up the damage. He's got megD right in that knockout position, deep red. Any one of Kaya's pretty strong signatures will be able to get the job done.
Exactly. I mean, you already know that one of the things that we saw a bunch last year, even before BCX, with that top 8 finish that they had, I believe, at Autumn's, slide cancel neutral sig. It was just an absolute menace to everyone on bow, but so far, Impala's still just trying to hunt for this. Recovery should just do it at this point, but megD's still avoiding it.
Yeah, megD now playing a bit closer into the vest on a lot of these engagements, looking to get inside the range of the spear. You know, even the side air, the down air, they don't hit stacked. You pretty much only have the neutral air for that option. Even a recovery is going to get you up away from them before it actually becomes active.
That's one of the most frightening things about watching megD on guitars, is just seeing that now shift away to a more stack-based option, but that neutral air will finally get the job done. I will give credit where credit's due on the fact that Impala barely took damage that time going into the second stock, where before they were facing a decent deficit before they brought it back.
Yeah, that's the kind of adaptation that we want to see, especially because we're in best of 5 sets here. So it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And you were talking about megD always looking to trip you up at the end of the marathon.
Exactly. That, like, megD will have the occasional time where it just kind of goes in on one of the given stocks. You just don't know when it's going to be. And so far, it's looking like it's stock 2, but the D-Light into the Sarah, recovery 2, and Impala seems like it's picking it up a little bit here, TWK.
Yeah, he's getting that damage now. It's just a question of, can you get past this edge guard? Oh, megD giving him the respect of space.
Right now, just trying to get back up over the ledge. megD giving him a lot of respect there. Going to avoid the Sarah, get a nice reversal with the Nair, and that's now 2. And this is where things start to get rough when you see Impala starting to get a lot of these stray Nairs. But this is as even as you can ask for, but finally getting them. And megD facing his first lead. I was gonna say Impala gets his first lead. I completely butchered that sentence.
But yeah, this is the first time this game that Impala has taken the lead. You know, it's taken a while to even up the damage, even up the stocks, and now he's got a little bit to work with. But man, megD, I'm expecting, keep the sword. You want that downlight side air, the downlight recovery, just strong, consistent knockout options.
Exactly, and finally decided to dip off stage. I was curious when that time might come, because megD's almost always just gone for a Sarah at the edge of the stage, and that's pretty much it. Sidelight, not too much else of a punish off of that, but going to switch over to guitars now, actually only just to continue to weapon starve. One stray recovery maybe does it, but now Impala has opportunity to build some damage.
Yeah, I mean, you bait out one dodge with that spear, and you get so much return off of it.
Neutralites.
Not yet enough.
A good dodge right at the, pretty much like right on frame for that weapon toss to prevent that edge guard from happening. Pogo down to Impala refusing to relinquish the stock here.
Yeah, getting a little bit of extra credit, and you know what? It's that little bit that just adds up over time. I love that option. That was really cool. The side light into jump, chase, dodge, forward, neutral air. It's one of the fastest things. I see him do it off of a gravity cancel or right on the stage edge a lot. That was one of the first times that I've seen him employ it mid-stage.
Yeah, it's actually so surprising to me to watch how similar their two playstyles are when we get to this point. But Impala now has a good opportunity here over on the side of the stage. I don't really agree with the idea of maybe going for a ground pound just yet. Do not give up opportunities as he closes it out on the side, and that's going to give him the first game.
You were looking for that.
I was waiting for that like a whole stock ago. But like just the hovering around that he was doing, the footsie, like you could see him just playing within range that he might just go for it. But he did do that earlier today too when we saw him against Sandstorm. He was kind of reserving it for ledge play and brought it back out here.
Oh yeah. Man, so that side signature finding purchase and then the down signature. Oh yeah. I know it got a little bit of extra. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
all right, we got to see the character picks a little bit before you folks. megD over onto the Ember.
I was just talking about how if it's megD, there is a sword legend attached to it. It doesn't really matter who. There's going to be a sword. But we are wrong in this case. It's actually going to be the switch over to the Ember to keep the Katars and go into the bow mirror match. Like I am very surprised by that.
I mean, this is a little bit more old school of a pick, I'll say. You know, just because that Ember neutral signature, it got a little bit of a nerf in the last patch, but, you know, it's still incredibly viable, still one of the better anti-air signatures in the game.
I wonder if I'm very curious, like maybe it's just to close the gap, be able to get in on the side sigs and such, and maybe try to change it up a little bit. I still feel like the sword was looking fine in the last game. I think the thing is that it felt like megD was not confident in going for closeouts, but instead megD looking at least way better here on the Katars here in game 2.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of those engagements where megD was only able to get like some mid-range options. He was only hitting with like the sword neutral light and the sword side light. Nothing that's really going to score you a knockout, nothing that's going to get you too much stage advantage. I think he gets a better range matchup with the bow instead of the sword, and that's what he's looking for to complement his Katars.
And something I didn't notice until just now as we see megD get themselves on the board. Normally, I have some pre-match stats about the head-to-heads, but before I thought it was going to be animated fakey. Now that I've gotten a second to pull it up, these two have fought each other a lot more than I realized. And not to mention, and not only have they fought a bunch before, but Impala is one of the few people who sports a perfect record against megD. That is a 4-0 record over megD. So that is showing, as Impala evens up this game, that he definitely has a fundamental understanding on how to deal with that passive play for megD.
So one of those bracket demons for megD here in Impala, and he's only gotten stronger.
I honestly
over the last
thought that
6 months.
Stingray was like the one. See, like when I saw Stingray and megD were lining up each other, I was like, that seems like one of the worst possible options for megD to have to fight. Because Stingray is he's just hyper aggressive at the right moments, and he trips you up. Impala's on a different case with that, where he will kind of do that like that with those neutral sigs, but he's played to megD's pace this whole set.
Yeah, this has been absolutely crazy. We saw that bow neutral signature coming out from Impala, now making megD have some second thoughts about taking to the air. I love that. The side light into gather information. Both bow players have been using that pretty significantly. megD, just a moment ago, was able to hit side. Oh, okay, there it is, that neutral signature. That's one of the main things you're going to see coming out from any Ember player.
Yeah, I guess that just that anti-air option of trying to make sure that Impala doesn't get these safe jumps in with those neutral airs like he's been doing to pretty much everyone prior to this moment in bracket. But megD is getting the straight hits in, gets the neutral lights off the Katars. No whiff punish range for that, but still gets at least a 2-piece, almost a third on that nair.
Yeah, it really just needs to build up that little bit of extra credit. We saw that work out in Impala's favor last time when this situation was a complete mirror image of what it is now.
This is, and there we go, whiff punish for the nice solid whiff punish, always within range. And the fact that he's shutting down Impala from doing that is huge, because that's the thing we've always complimented him on, and he's actually having a hard time finding those openers now with the bow.
Yeah, neutral air Apocalypse has a pretty tall ceiling, so that neutral air at the ground isn't going to knock out just yet, even though Ember has incredibly low defense.
Impala just looking for any mistake, and that still, there's that tall ceiling you were just alluding to as megD holds on.
Look at them jockeying for position. The side light into jump, look for it. But now Impala, a little bit of a hill to climb.
I'm not too
Just
surprised
into
that
the
we've
orange.
converted over to the spear too, because it just seems so much more difficult to find openings with bow right now. megD winning out on that bow ditto, but there goes a nice three-piece. Well, neutralites, weapon toss, neutralites, and this is a pretty dead even game.
Yeah, Impala gets to play a little bit of that range advantage here. The neutral light, the side light, even the down light to contest, I don't know, neutral air or down air on Katars. It'll beat out both of them.
Yeah, megD's, actually, I just realized megD hasn't been like a jump-happy neutral air Qatar, so well, as he does one right there. But it's,
but yeah,
he's been pretty reserved for it.
As more so their positioning rather than, you know, what attack am I going to be falling with. It's, I want to kind of bait you into expecting the anti-air. I want to condition you for that and then capitalize.
Yeah, whereas in the next set, we will be seeing Anime doing that
Oh
a lot.
my gosh.
And that, not enough just yet. But Impala has brought this all the way back. D-Light Sarah will get it. And that is Impala bringing it all the way back through the long game. And honestly, that game in particular shows me why he's got the perfect record on him. I obviously, you know, hindsight's 2020. Oh, he got the win. But it's the way he got the win. He was getting outboxed in a majority of the weapon matchups up until the last stock. And Impala doesn't, it looks like he's not cracking mentally when megD is just kind of outpoking you over and over and over again. That can happen to so many people. And Impala instead is sporting a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely huge. It's incredibly tough to come back from a 2-0 deficit at any point in the tournament.
Yeah.
Let alone the pressure now of being in that lower bracket, the elimination bracket, where everything is on the line, and this deep in a tournament. They've been playing for a very long time already today.
There are multiple things in sight at this point. There is, for one, greater prize pool as you go further up. 2, Winter Championship title. 3, a trip to the Royale. Because top 3 here gets that trip to Royale, and Impala is one of those people, as BCX champ, you want to get that trip back there. You want to show back up at the lands against all the best and the best and prove that that one time out at the biggest event was not just a one-time deal.
Yeah, so this is where we need to see, does megD have the mental fortitude, the nerves of steel, and the stamina to be able to make this comeback?
I will say, amongst pretty much almost anybody in the active game right now, megD has some of the highest stamina, period, for playing.
Yeah.
Like, he's able to go the distance. I think one of the few other people I can think of is like Simple, who is another one who can play the long game very well. But Impala is kind of checking him at that.
Yeah, this pick for Miami Dome, definitely an interesting one. You get, you know, some of that shorter ceiling than Apocalypse, if only because those platforms sit higher up and gives you more actual ground that you can do something strong from.
Yeah, anything to try and mix it up on the soft platforms in general. Just one way to try and get around these neutral airs that Impala has been getting you with repeatedly. And that D-Light recovery will be a great punish on exactly that as he gets the lead.
All right, so megD starting the comeback here. He's got the stock lead. And now, look at that, just continuing. Oh my gosh, Impala actually just clutched that out from megD's ankles.
That was actually ridiculous. Like, it was perfectly on time. Nope, that's for me. And now Impala is, again, looking really good. Sidelight, GC, and does it finish?
Okay, everybody's fine. Everybody's fine.
Okay, all right. Look, I never like seeing that happen. I am not a fan of seeing any type of mistakes that lead to a free one. Of course, as a player, you should always take those. But that is...
Oh, we take those.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
man,
we
missing the jump side air there, you can see the nerves coming in. And then
that's the difference between an even game right now.
Back to the wall. Unbelievable.
megD is living on borrowed time, but you take that as you can right now. And megD is not one you should ever give a chance to stay on because he's about to potentially move up 2 stocks in a lead.
Uh-oh, Impala fighting his way back into stage, snatches the bow. Now he's got the corner advantage against megD.
Impala just doing his best to try and close it out. Misses on that there, but does not miss out on the second one. Great job getting all the way down there, lining it up perfectly, and not being uncomfortable with going for it again. However, look at that damage that megD was able to get out of that, basically just from that one whiffed Sair.
Yeah, negated Impala's lead. And, man, this is just absolutely crazy. Still fighting his way back. I am surprised that that recovery didn't send farther.
Yeah, stuff recovery leading him to basically nowhere. Right next to the soft platform. Like, okay, let's reset. But I feel like You know what's crazy? I don't even feel too comfortable with megD's lead because I think back to that last game. Even though he is he falls here, megD couldn't hold it down the whole time. So if I'm megD, I'm just trying to get as much straight hit damage. I need at least orange to feel happy with the stock lead I have right now.
So now you see jockeying for position. megD trying to use these dash-in side lights on the sword to cover so much area. It'll cover a number of different dodge options from Impala, but Impala so far has been managing to choose the correct one every time, just going up back or up through.
Exactly, just that, like, that good patience. Going for a Nair mix-up that time, trying to get him to jump away for that recovery read, but side light, D-light, Sair won't be enough. It's a little bit too early for that, but the damage not being applied, and there you go. We talked about the slide cancel text he loves going for all the time. That time going for it on the D-Sync to get the stock.
Yeah, that was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you were looking for much more of that signature throughout this set, and he's been bringing it out at those choice times where you've already kind of forgotten about it. It's left the back of your mind, and then bam, there it is in the front of your face.
Like, that's what's so scary about him. And look at this. That's why I said before, I wouldn't feel that comfortable with that lead if I'm megD, because Impala brought it back last time, and in just right on cue, we're looking at an even game once again. But this time, it's megD on his elimination stock.
See Impala moving around those platforms, trying to avoid the grounded game of Qatars, so that way he can employ some of those quick aerials from the bow.
megD just trying to touch the ground, just touch that platform at all. But it has been a bit of a struggle as megD just keeps getting caught. And that's going to be it.
Gosh.
A 3-0, essentially a dominant victory at the end. I know it wasn't a 0 to KO, but it felt like one because of the way that Impala just refused to let him touch the ground. That was a big difference maker, of course, at least in that stock. But even without getting it there, it didn't matter because Impala just understands megD, and that, by the way, moves that to a lifetime set count of 5-0 over someone like megD. That is not easy to say.
I gotta tell you, that last stock here, Impala's aerial movement, his dash jump, fast falls, flip it around, it was looking exactly reminiscent of his BCX run.
I heavily agree with that. I mean, you think back to, I think back specifically to the matchup against Godly, right?
Yep.
Where Godly has, by far and away, the best hover movement over anyone.
Yes.
When you are when you are in a position in center stage and you see Godly kind of jumping around you and you go, oh, nothing I do can hit him. That's because his baits...